Hey guys, welcome to the replay. If you're tuning in, you can share this with your followers. Give hearts as you're coming in. Share and invite your followers. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Arianne Maccabee, abundant life strategist and spiritual growth mentor. I have not been on in a while because I've been busy, y'all. I have been super busy, and actually next week, next Saturday, November 4th, my second book comes out. It is called Guardian Rules, 30 Lessons to Help You Live Your Best Life. So I'm super excited. It is a double birthday for me. And really my first book I wrote published back in 2013, so it's long overdue, but my heart is really just to help you guys learn from some of the mistakes that I've made. If you're currently making the mistakes that I made, to help you break those cycles or just encourage you in general. So I hope that you guys will check that out. Again, Guardian Rules, 30 Lessons to Help You Live Your Best Life, coming out November 4th, and it will be available on Amazon.com. All right, so I'm going to jump into this today. So what I'm going to talk about is exposure and how we handle exposure. So I typically read one chapter a day. It depends on how the Holy Spirit leads me, the book that I choose to go through, the book of the Bible that I choose to go through. And right now I'm reading Genesis. And last night I was reading Genesis chapter 9, and I got wrecked, y'all. I got wrecked, straight convicted, and it's okay. I had to repent, ask for forgiveness and all of that, and it's okay. So if you guys are reading the word and you're not getting cut, you're not getting convicted, I'm not really sure what you're reading. Maybe you're like picking all the marshmallows out of the Lucky Charms, right? And you're just eating all the sweet stuff. But guess what? You don't grow that way. We know that the word is like a double-edged sword. So you're going to get cut sometimes, and we get cut so that we can bear much fruit. So if you're not growing, look at the last time you got cut. Okay, look at that. And you need to read some things to challenge you and to grow you and to cut some things out. So I got cut last night. That's what I'm trying to say. I got cut. And I believe it's much bigger than me, though, and it's a problem that we have in the church in dealing with exposure and how we handle the fallen, not just within the body, but outside the body as well. And so I want to go through that today. So let's go to Genesis chapter 9, 20 through 27. Genesis chapter 9, 20 through 27, and thank you for the hearts as you're coming in and sharing, and I'll read it really quick. So it says, Noah, a man of the soil, proceeded to plant a vineyard. When he drank some of its wine, he became drunk and lay uncovered in his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father naked and told his two brothers outside. But Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it across their shoulders. Then they walked in backwards and covered their father's naked body. Their faces were turned the other way so that they would not see their father naked. When Noah awoke from his wine and found out that what his youngest son had done to him, he said, "Cursed be Canaan, the lowest of slaves will he be to his brothers." He also said, "Praise be to the Lord, the God of Shem. May Canaan be the slave of Shem. May God extend Japheth's territory. May Japheth live in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be the slave of Japheth." All right. That was a lot, but we're going to go through it in detail. So we're talking about exposure, and we're going to go through it from the perspective of each of the characters. So when you read the Bible, don't just read it straight through and just rush through it, but really look at the characters. So we have four here. We have Noah and his three sons, and I'm going to go through this from the perspective of not only the four of them, but what is God's heart and what how we apply that to Jesus and new believers and all that, okay? So when we look at Noah, his problem was he was drunk. Noah got drunk, y'all. And that's why you don't get drunk, okay? I'm not telling y'all not to drink. I know some of y'all like to drink or whatever. Do what you do. But I'm saying don't get drunk. Why? Because he left himself vulnerable. It makes you vulnerable when you lose control of your mouth, of your actions, and all of that. It is a dangerous thing, not just to you, but to the others around you. You're giving other people an opportunity to call you out or whatever the case is. Even in your own home, you don't know. People are quick to pull out a cell phone these days. If you haven't noticed, right? Look at Kevin Hart. He thought he was chilling and somebody then, caught him playing with somebody and then posted it or whatever. So just be very careful. Be very careful about your actions. Again, if you want to drink, do what you got to do. But don't get drunk, and this is why he became vulnerable. Okay, is it totally his fault? No, but he didn't help either. So just be careful about that, about the positions and the situations that you put yourself in. The other thing is, be careful about who's around you. Okay, now this was his son. Would he really think that his son would have exposed him in this way? Probably not. And he kind of learned the hard way, much like some of us do. We don't know who people are and their real motives until they've shown themselves to us, right? And so be careful about the people who are around you. Do you have people around you who are going to expose you the moment that you fall? Like, they're cool with you as long as you do everything right. But the moment you slip up, they the first one, run tell that, right? They're the first one pulling the phone down. Or do you have people around you who are going to cover you when you fall? Like, they're there for you when you're good, but when you fall down, they're not rushing to social media. They're not rushing to, their friends in the whole wide world to expose what you've done, but they're going to cover you. Does that mean they dismiss what you did? No. You address it, but you address it in love. You address it in a redemptive manner. And I think that's something that we don't do well in the church at all. Somebody falls and we are quick. Look at how many times things are shared on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever. We are so quick to share somebody's downfall instead of stopping it. Be like, you know what? I see it, but it stops with me. I'm not going to repost that. Like, can we stop reposting somebody else's failure? Okay, I'm gonna keep going. So who are the people that are around you? People that are going to expose you, or people that are going to cover you? All right. And then the next thing was Noah. He cursed them. When he got back up, he cursed his son. We don't have to do that, y'all. We don't have to do that. Romans 12:19 says, "Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave the way open for God's wrath. Vengeance is mine, I will repay." So if somebody does expose us, we don't have to curse them. We don't have to stoop to their level. Put it in God's hand. That doesn't mean that you don't feel the feels. You might be angry and all of that. You might be hurt, but place it into God's hand. Otherwise, you become just like that person, right? You don't need to sin just like somebody else did. You can go take the high road. And so when we look at the perspective of Noah, those are the things. Don't get drunk, y'all. Protect yourself. Don't get drunk. Pay attention to who's around you. Are they covering you, or you got some little snakes in there? You might have a Judas in the midst. You just might. And then again, you don't need to curse people. Leave that to God. If you are on the side of, if you are a victim of being exposed, take the high road. I know I'm not saying that it's easy, but that's what we have to do as believers. All right. So now let's look at Ham, the problem here, the exposer. I guess that's what you call him. So look at Ham. Ham is the middle child of Noah. That's a sermon all in itself. Okay, middle child. I'm not against y'all, but I'm gonna leave that alone. He was the middle child. Okay. And he was also, it says that he was the younger. So he wasn't the youngest, but I think that means that he was the immature one of the group. He was the young, underdeveloped one of the group. And so his immaturity definitely came to light in this moment. He found his father in a state of vulnerability, in a state of shame, and he ran and told somebody else instead of covering his father. So immaturity will have you doing some childish things, right? Have you seen some little kids and they see something that they weren't supposed to see for the first time and they snicker and they do? That's what kids do. And when you grow up, you put away childish things, right? You handle those things a lot differently. But Ham was childish, and it showed, and he also paid for it, right? So he went out and gossiped instead of covering and honoring somebody. Now, again, was Noah in a bad state that he probably shouldn't have been in? Yes. But that doesn't mean that he deserved to be outed. That doesn't mean that we dishonor him, because guess what? We all make mistakes, and we are all capable of making mistakes. And so we have to treat somebody else like we would want to be treated if someone found us in a fallen state. Honor that person, love that person, cover that person, but don't be so quick to, again, repost, share, and out somebody when you have found them in a fallen state. That's not being dismissive. It's about honor. All right? And so it backfired on him. He got cursed. He got cursed. His father cursed him, and he became a slave to his other brothers. He was the father of Canaan. If you look at Numbers 13, what was the land that the Israelites took over? Canaan. So it happened. What Noah prophesied over him, it happened. And his gossip separated him from his family. So it just wasn't worth it, and it impacted generations to come. So just be careful about what you do with your words, and not be so quick to expose somebody else, because it will backfire and come back on you. All right, so 1 Corinthians 13:11 says, when I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became a man or a woman, I did away with childish things. And we need to put away the childish things of running and gossiping every time we see somebody fall. Oh, did you see that? No, that's what kids do. And we got to grow up in the church. We got to grow up and stop all this. You're interceding for somebody. You're not really interceding if you're gossiping and telling everything about what you prayed about on your prayer call. No, that's not what we do. You can't be exposing people from the pulpit, especially if you're in leadership. Stop it. It is damaging and it hurts people. It hurts people. And if you wouldn't want it done to you, then don't do it to others. Again, I'm not just talking at y'all, but this is all of us included. We have to be very careful and mindful about how we treat one another when we have fallen. Okay? So the next is Shem and Japheth, the two other brothers, the oldest and the youngest. So their brother comes down and says, hey, dad's up in here passed out naked, right? They don't feed into it. They stop it, right? Which most of us don't do. Again, we see something posted online, we be the first to retweet, repost, and whatever else. Put, laughing emojis, ha ha ha. No, they stop it. They put a robe around themselves and they walk backwards into where their father was, and they covered him. They didn't even want to see him like that. How many of us can, when someone brings something to us, how many of us can turn our backs on what that person is saying? Nope, I don't want to hear it. Stop. Nope, I don't want that. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to see that person like that. Why? Because you wouldn't want someone to do that to you. So how many of us can do that? You can see something online, or you can hear a story about somebody, and you can just stop it and not pass it on and say, you know what? No, I'm going to pray for that person. I'm going to cover them. I'm going to intercede for that person, or whatever. Like, we have to get better at doing that. So they honored their father when they had the choice. They had a choice. They could have been like, okay, yeah, we're going to go laugh at daddy and all that. We're going to take a selfie with him naked and post it online. They could have done that, but they chose honor. They chose honor and humility when they could have been, prideful and arrogant like most of us are. They chose honor and humility, and we have to do the same thing, and they covered him. All right, so get you some friends like that that will cover you. And not only that, be that friend. Be that follower. Be that servant that you will cover your leaders. Again, don't take this the wrong way and say, I'm dismissing someone's behavior. It is how you handle it, okay? So, and as a result of their honor and humility, they were blessed. They were blessed. God expanded them. Noah blessed them. They expanded their territory and all that stuff. And again, Canaan was theirs. All they had to do was take it. All they had to do was take it. So when you think about that in Numbers 13, they're like, oh, we can't have this. It was already promised to them. Maybe they forgot. Apparently they did forget. But it was already promised to them based on this curse that had happened years before. And so they were blessed. So just know that when you take the high road, you will be honored for doing that. We are told to honor all people. So 1 Peter 2:17 says, show respect for all people. Treat them honorably. Love the brotherhood of believers. And I say unbelievers too. Fear God. Honor the king. So that is what we're called to do, is to honor all people. Show respect for all people. Why? Because it could be us. It could be us. All right? And then lastly, what would God and Jesus have to say about this? Right? So Ham finds his father naked. If you go back a few chapters, this is like deja vu, right? We see Adam and Eve naked in the garden because they have fallen and they have sinned. But what does God do? He covers them better than they could cover themselves, right? They try to cover themselves with fig leaves. He covered them with like animal skin. So we have to leave people better than the way that we found them. That's what we're called to do. We don't kick them while they're down. We don't keep poking at the wounds. We cover them. We leave them better than the way that we found them. That is what God would do. That's what Jesus did, right? He found people in bad states too. The woman at the well, he knew what she did, but he didn't tell the disciples when they came back, let me tell y'all what this lady did. No. The woman that got caught in adultery, he knew what she did, but he was like, okay, who else is without sin? You cast the first stone. It got pretty quiet, much like it's probably getting quiet right now, right? But what would God and Jesus do in these moments? Would they expose people, or would they address it and cover them in love? That's what they would do, and that's what we are called to do as the church as well. All right, so just be very careful about exposing other people, because that's what unfortunately we reap what we sow, like Ham did. He exposed somebody and it backfired on him, and it can backfire on us. The problem is we don't know how, we don't know when, we don't know to what magnitude, and we shouldn't care. We should just not do it and take the high road anyway. What else? So 1 Peter 4:8 says, above all, have fervent and unfailing love for one another, because love covers a multitude of sins. Love covers it. Okay, it is love. It's not excusing it. It's not coming into agreement with it, but you want to have a redemptive and a spirit of restoration upon you when you find people that are fallen. So can God trust you with somebody else's fallen state? Can he trust you? Can he trust me? Right? When we find somebody that's fallen, I mean, that's ministry. We should be finding people that are hurting and falling all the time, but can God trust us? Or we just gonna poke fun and all of that? No. Okay? So we wrapped all of that up. Basically, it's a matter of immaturity and maturity. You're gonna be like Ham, or are you gonna be like Shem and Japheth? Are you going to put away the childish thing? Or are you going to snicker and, be immature and hurtful and keep the party going when somebody falls? So choose between immaturity and maturity. Then you have to choose between honor and humility, or arrogance and pride. Again, we've all fallen. We all have the potential of falling. And how do you want to be treated when you fall and someone finds you? Maybe it's not drunk. Maybe it's fornication. Maybe it's adultery. Maybe whatever. I don't know what your thing is. But how do you want to be treated when someone finds you in a fallen state? Depression, whatever. Anything that is not of God. Honor and humility versus pride and arrogance. And then we see the impact of sowing and reaping, right? And blessings and curses. Be very careful. Be very, very careful. Life and death is in the tongue. The power of life and death is in the tongue. And one little slip of the mouth got him cursed and separated from his family. So, And then we see just the impact of gossip, period. It's not good, y'all. And I know it's easy to get caught up in it. Again, I'm not saying that I don't, but we just got to be very careful about shutting it down and being intentional about that. So there's so many proverbs. If you just put in gossip, if it's on Bible Gateway or whatever, just look at how many proverbs come up. Proverbs 11 and 13. He who goes about as a gossip reveals secrets. That's what he did. But he who is trustworthy and faithful keeps a matter hidden. Are you trustworthy and faithful? Proverbs 16 and 28. The perverse man spreads strife, and one who gossips separates intimate friends. He was separated from his brothers because of his mouth. Proverbs 17 and 9. He who covers and forgives an offense seeks love, but he who repeats or gossips about a matter, again, separates intimate friends. So we see just the magnitude of what gossip does to a people, to a person, to you. So you can go through that. Just look up gossip. It's just not good, okay? So let's get better about honoring our brothers and sisters when they fall, y'all. Again, me included. Let's stop wounding them. Let's stop outing them. Let's stop sharing and retweeting and reposting. How about you just stop and pray, right? How about you keep scrolling? But let's stop sharing somebody else's downfalls, but then we don't share somebody else's victories and testimonies. We don't share the good stuff that God is doing in people's life, but we're quick to share all the stories about people who have fallen and they've been ousted and all that other stuff. Like, we got to do better. And it is our responsibility as a church. We are the light of the world. So let's just act like it. So let's be intentional about turning our backs to gossip. And not, let me hear what happened. Tell me what happened. No, stop. Turn your back to it. pray. Ask the person, did you pray? You don't even have to engage in it, honestly, if you don't want to, but let's not fuel the fire if you can help it, all right? Let's be vessels of love, honor, and humility in this hour, and really do unto others what we would have done unto us, all right? So thank you guys for tuning in. I know it's been a long time, but I will get back on more regularly. Again, my new book is coming out next Saturday, November 4th, Guardian Rules, 30 Lessons to Help You Live Your Best Life. So make sure you're checking out for that. Also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at Arianne Maccabee. I want to keep in touch with you guys and just continue to uplift and encourage and all of that. I teach a lot. I encourage a lot. So I love to do it though. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Share this message. Thank you for all the hearts and well, not your comments, but your hearts and your sharing. And I will talk to you guys again soon. Bye.